In this video, I'm going to be talking about the best way to handle objections in network marketing. Hey guys, Mighty Johnny Mo here, coming to you from my office in Nairobi, Kenya. I help millennials rise above their financial circumstances and dominate in the affiliate and network marketing industry by unraveling the secrets of attraction marketing. If this is your first time here and this message resonates with you, do consider subscribing and smash that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Make sure you watch till the end, because I'm going to share a bonus tip that will spice up your game and help you rank advance in your network marketing company. So enough said. What is the best way to handle objections in network marketing? Closing and overcoming objections in network marketing is definitely a skill set you want to learn and develop. One thing to really understand is that closing and overcoming objections often isn't even required when the right foundations are in place before presentation happens. It might sound crazy, but if you do the right foundation steps before your presentation, your sign-up ratios can be ridiculously high. At that point, the need to overcome objections becomes irrelevant. A few things to keep in mind as the foundation is that you always need to think about what's in it for your prospect before you show the presentation. Too many times, I find network marketers are in pitch mode and convincing mode. Pitching rather than pacing brings about suspicion and rejection. They come from the mindset of how can I sell this person rather than how can I help this person. When you shift gears and come from a place of helping your prospects solve a problem or reach a goal, you'll have far less objections after the presentation. This comes down to the invitation process and leading with value, not hype. I have a great training where you learn how to be a master promoter by inviting others without chasing them down and looking for them. You will not have to deal with objections, so if you're interested, the link will be in the description below. Inviting professionally comes first before ever trying to overcome objections. That being said, let's get into the 7-step process to overcome objections for network marketing. Number 1. Listen. Be attentive. As a person in sales, sometimes it can be difficult to fully listen to your potential customer or business partner. Active listening is really the key foundation to closing for your business. The better you can listen to your potential customer, the more opportunities you'll find to close them and help them get started. Listening fully is the first step for how to overcome objections in network marketing. Sometimes your prospects will even talk themselves into joining your business, and when you fully let them say their objections, this can happen. In addition to this, if you don't fully hear them out, you might end up trying to overcome an objection that isn't real. Most people really like being heard, so letting your prospect fully talk themselves out and listening to them attentively will help you build a lot of trust and rapport. All things being equal, people tend to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So the more you can establish this relationship during the closing process, the better. There have definitely been times where I just let people talk after I ask a closing question and let silence do the work for me. They say an objection but then overcome it on their own. So hear out your prospect first. Number 2, acknowledge the objection. When someone has an objection, you don't want to validate their objection is sound, but you do want to acknowledge understanding. This can be done by saying something like, I get it, and completely understand why you will feel that way coming from your situation. Or, I get it and I understand where you are coming from. Something along those lines. I will avoid saying something like, you are totally right to be feeling that way, or that's true and you should feel that way. Focus on understanding but not agreeing that their objection is a good reason not to join or buy. Often, you don't necessarily even need to overcome the objection they are talking about. You just need to understand where they are coming from. Someone feels understood or like they've been heard, they can often move forward even without that concern being handled. When you say things like, I understand where you are coming from, it helps bring your prospect to your side. Instead of immediately trying to overcome the objection, you could even say something like, I totally get where you're coming from. Let me ask you this. Do you like the idea? Does the idea make sense to you? When you ignore the objection, say something like the script I mentioned above. You can help further understand how excited the person is about the opportunity. A common problem most network marketers face is they try to convince people that aren't really interested. This wastes a lot of time for both parties, and you're much better off working with people that are interested and excited about your opportunity. Do this instead of trying to convince those that aren't interested. 3. Restate the objection first before overcoming objections. At this point, you want to acknowledge that you fully understand and heard their objections. This way, you show that you care and are listening to them. This again taps into the feeling of your prospect being heard, shows that you actually care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is why repeating the objection back to your prospect is essential to showing them you actually care and are listening to them. Another reason for this is you might actually have the wrong objection or concern. The last thing you want is to try and overcome an objection that isn't even there. When you do this, you can actually push your potential customer further away from the sale. You might actually implant more objections than the person initially had to begin with by trying to overcome the wrong objection. That is why repeating the objection back to the person is so essential. 4. Isolate the objection as part of your strategy for how to overcome objections. While you are restating the objection, you also want to isolate the objection. This means that you are pulling out a single objection and making sure it is the real objection for your prospect. As I've mentioned earlier, the last thing that you want to do is try and overcome an objection that isn't the real objection. All too often, your prospect will throw up a smokescreen objection that isn't real to put off having that made in the actual decision. This is why isolating the objection is very important. You do this in combination with restating objections. This will make sure as you overcome objections for your prospect, it's the real thing they are concerned about. Overcoming objections isn't about convincing someone to do something they don't want to do. It's about helping people get past the thing holding them back from making a decision. What to say to isolate the objection? Overcoming objections in network marketing is simply helping people make a decision to move forward or not. With this in mind, isolating the objection might sound something like this. I totally understand where you are coming from. I know a lot of people feel like they don't necessarily have the money to get started. Let me ask you this though. Based on everything that you've seen, do the numbers make sense to you? Is it just that you need to figure out the money to get started? Or if you are able to figure out the money and you did have it available now, you will be ready to get started? Or is there something else that will be holding you back? This can help draw out either the real objection or allow your potential customer to tell you that your concern in regards to them is correct. At this point, you can now start handling the objection. 5. Close with a story and use feel, felt, found. Once you have isolated the objection, it is time to overcome it. You do that through telling a story, and you can use the format of feel, felt, found. It will sound something like this. Bob, I completely know how you feel when you said you didn't have the money. I felt the same way when I first saw this. At the time, I was working 2 jobs, trying to keep my family fed, and month after month, I was just scraping by and spinning my wheels. I didn't know if I could do this because I didn't think I could get the extra money. But what I found was that if I kept doing the same thing I had been doing, money was always going to be an issue. So I made the decision to figure out the money and reallocate it from some other things and get started anyway. Flash forward now, a couple of $100 isn't an issue for me anymore. When you close using feel, felt, found, you will relate more with your prospect. On top of that, facts tell and stories sell. By overcoming the objection with a story, it will be much more effective. 6. Ask a closing question. From this point, you simply ask a closing question. Asking a closing question doesn't have to be overly complicated. You simply want to ask something that requires your prospect to make a sound decision. If you're brand new, you could say something simple like, are you ready to get started? A more advanced closing question could sound something like this. If you could figure out the money, be that putting it on a credit card, borrowing it, or reallocating it from somewhere else, and I can show you how this is going to be the last time you ever had to worry about a few $100 ever again, will you be ready to get started today? Another example could be saying something like, awesome, well, that settles that. Was there anything else you needed clarification on, or were you ready to get started? A great strategy for closing I use often as well is to simply make an assumptive statement rather than asking questions. For example, you could say something like, sounds to me like you're ready to get started. It's much harder for your prospect to say they have an objection at this point because you put it in the form of a statement rather than a question. Most importantly, always remember to ask them to get started in some shape or form. The biggest reason people don't buy from you or join your network marketing business is that you don't even ask. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. 7. Leverage the still power of silence. From this point, just shut up and wait for their answer. You need to use silence to your advantage. Anytime you ask a closing question, you stop talking. The only way you should respond is if your prospect says something else to you after you asked the question. When you don't talk, they can process your question and you will either get a yes, no, or another objection. If you get another objection, you just repeat the process. If they say no, they aren't interested, then move on to the next prospect. Leverage silence and don't talk yourself out of the sale. When you follow this 7-step closing process, it makes overcoming objections in network marketing effortless. So here is my parting shot to you, my bonus. Additional resources to assist with overcoming objections. as I mentioned earlier, is you really need to understand that closing for network marketing really starts with the inviting process. If you are not inviting professionally or incorrectly, you are going to have a hard time closing. When you invite into your business presentation poorly, people either aren't going to even take a look, or they will be unconvinced when they see your presentation. Your ultimate goal as a network marketer is to get eyeballs to see your presentation for what it really is. Inviting correctly is the foundation to that process. You must master the art of promoting by professionally inviting others to have a look. One of the key foundations to inviting in network marketing is seeing if people are open to begin with. If you aren't doing this in your inviting process, you are going to struggle. So, question of the day: how do you handle objections in your network marketing business? Drop it like it's hot and let me know in the comment section below. Guys, that's it. I hope that has been helpful to you. I want to invite you to a thriving community of home business owners that will help you get your game on point. A tailored step-by-step guide will get you from struggling to consistent lead flow, just like that. And we all know what that means, right? Sign-ups, sales, and cash flow right into your business. Imagine attracting the perfect customer versus spamming, pitching, chasing, cold calling, and getting rejected. Isn't that something that you will welcome into your business from here on out? Check out mightyjohnnymo.vip. We will help you to position yourself as the leader, expert, and authority. Build solid relationships, create a community of raving fans, and gain that trust. So what are you waiting for? I hope to see you grow. I hope to see you soar like an eagle. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.